Hold on. Okay.
I'm sorry. Well,
Okay,
see,
well,
now
I'm going to go ahead and start. No, you were perfect. Guys, just so you know, Barbara's having technical difficulties. Barbara's computer
but
is
it's
not playing well today, so she's doing our recording today on the phone.
on
And
our phone.
in pre-show, we were visiting with Cheryl about being real, and that we're just we're out there. Y'all know that I don't edit. I have the ability, I have the software, I have the knowledge. I don't do it because I'm at a time in my life that I don't want to do it. So
and that people want to see real. People, this is real. Like, yeah, right now I'm having computer problems. And what happened? Why I went did I go sideways?
yeah.
Because I had to say that I was accepting the recording. And instead of just accepting the recording, see, it's just done it again.
Okay.
So,
well,
yes,
so
that's what happened.
Right.
So, people, here I am. Hi there. Hi, everybody. Good morning.
Okay. So we have a great show for you today.
Good afternoon. Good evening. We're up whatever time it is where you are right now listening. So
yeah, yes, right. It is thought it is Aging Experts, and y'all don't have to go look for our blooper reels. They're here. They're here in the show. All of our blooper reels. So I'm Carol Henderson, and I have Life by Design, and I help people to design their life so that it is better than the first half. Because, it's no fun to get sick and get old and to lay in hospital beds with tubes coming out of every place they can come out of. So let's stay healthy. Let's live a vibrant, full out life. And so that's why I have Life by Design, and we help you with the second half of life. You don't know when that second half starts. So we have a great guest, but first of all, let me introduce Miss Barbara Ellison.
Well, hi, everybody. Yeah, I'm Barbara Ellison, founder of Wellness Playroom for the best version of you. And, I'm on a mission to make happiness the norm rather than the exception. And for me, part of happiness is just having fun. Just, it's not what happens to us that gets us down. It's how we handle what happens to us. And so right now, yeah, I'm in the middle of a computer, just, and I'm like, yeah, okay, this is where it's at. And
well, I'm going to tell on Barbara. I'm going to tell on her.
What did I?
On top of her, I think y'all may have heard last week that her brakes went out. Her brake guy said, there's no problem. Got them fixed. Just go on. Well, her brakes went out again yesterday or day before yesterday. So anyway, so she can't even take her computer to the computer guy to get it worked on. And we have shows all over to do. And so she's been Googling for the last 2 days trying to figure out how to fix it herself. And I don't think that's going to work. So anyway, it's like when it happens, it happens. And it is. They say that 90% of what happens to you is your attitude. 10% is the facts. So if you can take something we see as a bad thing, I mean, when her brakes went out the first time, she was stuck at home. She's off from work because the restaurant's closed. So she has had all these classes, and she has just become a wealth of knowledge, even more so than she was before, about so many of the things and the items that we use for business. And so she's had this month off from work. I don't know that I want her to go back, but she does miss the people, and she can walk to work if she still doesn't have brakes. But anyway, so that it is in how you look at it. It's like you can look at the good side, or you can look at the bad side and get all down in the mully grubs and think on those things. And God says, think on these things, anything that's good, that's of a good report, that's, enriching your life. And so you want to be happy,
So I'm glad I'm on my phone. I have my phone. So this is why, so I'm on my phone.
Yeah.
So
Thank
anyways,
God we have phones. Okay.
So we are having a
Cheryl,
great day.
we'll shut up and let you tell us a little bit about you, your background, how you came to pivot in your life and get to where you're doing now. So,
Thanks, Carol and Barbara. Yeah, and I, we were chatting before we started, and I love that you're real. You're totally real in what you're doing and your mission, and so that's just awesome to be here today with you. So I call myself a Move More Without Regrets coach. And what I focus on is supporting mostly women, but a few men too, really to find the possibilities in their movement, especially after life-changing, illnesses, injuries, surgeries, like hip replacements, knee replacements. I've worked with folks with MS, fibromyalgia, cerebral palsy. And so, they're facing some kind of constraint. So they're not moving the way they want to. And I work with them to find better balance, better mobility. So, I find at a certain age, especially, lives start to shrink, right? When it's like, I can't do that. Oh, I think I can't do that, or I can only go that far. And then, you're sort of shrinking in what's possible. And so I really think my work, helps open up a bigger life for people so that they can move the way they want and then live the way they want.
Right.
Well, and that's so important because I can remember when my husband was so ill. I mean, extremely ill for 25 plus years, and his life did shrink. And it got to where we only went to town if he had a doctor's appointment. He couldn't eat any dairy, any flour or wheat, and you think, oh, well, flour and wheat, you can't do bread and you can't do, flour and wheat and dairy. And so, you can't have milkshakes and you can't have a hamburger. Oh, well, but you don't realize all the sauces have flour in them, or they have dairy or both. I mean, everything, meat and vegetables is basically what you get. And it's the plain, like steamed vegetables. You can't,
no sauces.
Yeah, butter, no dairy. And it's a lot. And so it shrunk until I was able to start getting him healthy. And Barbara's met him. I mean, he's vibrant and running around.
Oh, yeah.
He's working on beehives this morning, and those things are heavy.
Nice.
And so anyway, go ahead and tell us some more about why you decided to do this.
I mean, I had kind of, I think, two main motivations. One was I lived most of my life with a mother who lived with multiple sclerosis, with MS. And so balance was a daily question, not, like, I have it, do I have it? How long do I have it? And so I think it impacted me much more than I knew at the time, seeing her struggle and wanting to, move into some kind of work that could help someone like her, because she, there wasn't a lot, like, especially when I was young, to support her. But I also, in my own life, I kind of did the path of, get into the job that you think you should do and, work hard. And I, even in my 30s, I remember waking up in the morning and I couldn't go downstairs because my ankles were stiff, and like for no reason, I was fairly, like active and stuff, but, confronting early, like, I can't take for granted that I have the mobility that I have, can just go and do something. I really early came into, like, I can't take this body for granted. I really have to support it and to move. And I'm just happier in movement, like, always something on the go. So I looked kind of at who I really saw that was like, that's a role model for me of who that's who I want to look like when I'm older. And it was all, like a yoga teacher who, 15, 17 years older than me. And she was way more flexible, like, because she had been investing, from sort of midlife forward to really have a body that, had grace, had beauty, was healthy. So it just I kind of decided one day, I'm sitting at my desk going like, I can't just stare at a computer anymore. I need to like figure out something. And so went through, several experiences that eventually led me to the work I'm doing now. It's based off of a couple of modalities. So one is Feldenkrais. It's a learning method that uses movement to positively change the brain and the nervous system. And so that's one of the bigger tools in my toolkit. But I also work with movement coming from a martial art that I do, Aikido. So it's I would say a non-violent martial art that looks at creating harmony when you interact with someone who's bringing force. So they're really rich kind of, sandboxes to bring in to work with people and get them to like feel their own bodies. A huge part of this is that people kind of don't feel themselves except the aches and pains, right? Or the thing that's really, really wrong. Otherwise, we kind of put our attention to something else and we don't really notice what's going on in our own bodies.
Well, and when that pain is going,
exactly,
look at me,
exactly.
look at me, look at me. And that's what my husband dealt with for
Yeah.
so many years. And, and it has been a walk. Number one, getting him healthy. I've gone a nutrition route. He was an athlete as a young person. And so he had done all that. But it was slowly stripped away from him. So I've done nutrition to help him. But it's like, it's that mindset that it really, really, it's what you focus on. And that pain and such as that, screaming on a moment by moment basis. And a question I have for you about your mom, I bet a lot of it was the mental stress of not knowing what the day would bring and having children, that your daily asking, will I be able to help my children? Will I be able to play with my children? Will I be able to, whatever, get my children to their events? And not knowing, some days you can, some days you can't. What do you do on the days you can't? Do you have a backup? Do you not have a back? That has to take a large amount of brain power.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, I see it, she's 86 now and has lived very well given like the seriousness of her condition. But I see the benefit that every day she kind of had to choose, how am I going to face today? And so there's been this beautiful thing happen, when she hit her 80s, that she's so clear about choosing positive thoughts. And, even with a little bit of dementia now, she's stuck in gratitude and in positivity. And so I might hear the same positive story, 5, 10, 15 times on a visit, but that's what she's set into. And so it's a really, I've been really blessed about having her as this quiet little role model that just keeps choosing what's possible and what's positive. And so, it definitely helps me, light my lantern. So when I'm working with people to sort of say, well, given this, like, what is possible, let's find out together, right? I don't come as, I've studied, 4-year practitioner certificate, like I've studied quite a bit. But I always approach like, let's find out what your possibilities are, because I have to discover that with you.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. That's what I think. Sometimes that's what happens to people, is that they get caught up in that. Well, I should be doing that because so-and-so is doing that. Well, no, is it something that you're going to do? Well, yeah, it's like with me lifting weights. Well, yeah, not my big thing that I want to do, but I'm more than willing to do wall push-ups.
Right.
To make sure my arms are, so yeah, you find the things. I think that's one of the biggest things. Find the things, and that's when you work with somebody rather than tell you have to do this, you have to do this, you have to do this. No, I don't
Yeah.
have to do this. Show me things that I get to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that I want to do.
And help me to expand on those things so that I don't get stuck in the and that I want to do, because then you're not stuck in the, oh, I can't do that. Well, as soon as you say you can be, and you're not because you can't do it, but because you don't like to do it. That's not something that you like to do.
Yeah.
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 So let's work on the things that you do like to do and expand on those things.
Yeah.
No, and when people ask me, like, what's the best thing to do? I always say, well, the best thing to do is the thing you will do.
Exactly.
Because we can have a perfect practice or some kind of exercise, but if they won't do it, then it doesn't matter, right? So it's definitely about meeting them where they're at, and finding, a lot of my work isn't just sort of physical exercise, but like functional movement in people's lives. And so like I'm working with a client now, really loves golf. She's getting older, has some shoulder injuries. And so I've sort of said, okay, you tell me what your golf pro's telling you, and then we're going to find what's possible for you in your body, and to open up freedom so that you're not mimicking this. I presume he's a young, well, many golf pros, right? They're under 40 at least, right? And like that we'll find it in your body that gets you towards what he's trying to get you to do. Because so often in sports, especially, people just kind of mimic the outside and they don't really know what's going on inside of the movement. And so I sort of say, let's pop the hood on that and see, in your body, what do we need to do with your ribs, with your hips, with your knees, with your feet, that make that golf swing, just easier, simpler. And so I laugh because, after a month or so of working with her, now she's all worried about her score, right? Like, before it was like, oh, I just want to be able to golf without pain. And now she's like competitive. And I'm like, well,
come a long way.
Cheryl,
yeah. I mean, it's like, we could talk about that too, but, like, just take a moment and celebrate
the second half of her life. It's spiraling up.
Totally.
And I want to introduce you, remind me off camera to connect you with a friend of mine named Bobby that actually could maybe add some info to you for her, because that's his expertise.
Okay, great. Oh, great. Okay.
So, yeah.
But
it's baby steps.
And explore all your possibilities. Explore all your possibilities.
Yeah.
I'm absolutely a firm believer in that. You don't have to, if you're with one person that it's like, oh, I don't know if I like this. Well, find somebody else. Find the one that
unless you're married to him, okay?
With you.
Not unless you're married.
Well, yeah, right. But yes,
yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
Although sometimes,
Well, I mean, there are those times, but
cool.
Yeah, and I find it really interesting. We could look at this purely as physical movement. What I kind of go into as well is like right from birth, right? As soon as we're born, we're subject to gravity. And so literally how we learn to move relates to having this force of gravity on us. But also like all of the other ways, you grow up in a family, you're dependent on your mom and dad and whoever else is in your life. And so you learn to kind of create strategies that get you your basic things you need, like your sense of belonging and your sense of security. And so all of those habits can be hidden in the movements of how we move. And so that's also part of the work that I do, is to sort of not sort of say you need to get rid of that, but just to notice, okay, here's a habit. Like, I definitely was a super shy kind of girl when I was young, listened a lot, but didn't say a lot. And so I kind of had this very like just little bit of pulling in here, I mean, I've done enough work now. Like I would say that's probably nearly mostly gone, but it would change things. Like when I would try to move, my chest was a little bit closed up because I was being small, right? Like I had this little kind of small habit. going on. So anytime I had to do things that went against that, I literally, it's like driving with the emergency brake on, right? Like you can go, but there's always this little habit kind of holding you back. And so, part of the work is to really start to go into, what might some of those things be. It's not like therapy to go back and talk about the story and to, go through, that kind of like psychological analysis, but just to say, like, so if this habit's here, how could we find a habit that, has you open, maybe proud, like happy here. And so just those sorts of journeys over time really help people, learn like, okay, I've conditioned myself, this strategy that I did maybe when I was 5, maybe when I was 10, is just a strategy. It's not actually who I am. But because it happens when we're younger, we think, okay, I am shy. I am, and it's like, it's really a habit of how I got along in my environment, right? Before I had resources to talk to, all of those things. So it's helping people, again, open up to a possibility that could have its roots, really young, or it could be from, last week, right? But that we start to change how we move because of some kind of incident.
Well, and coming from the modeling industry,
Yeah.
I had so many people that, so many girls that as they started developing, started pulling in because they were embarrassed and stuff. And so they would pull in. And so that posture, it's so important. And, you'll see people. And then now, of course, everybody's on their phone. And so if you look at people, the posture's terrible. It's all forward, but it's because of the phone. And none of them ever stretch that out. And I mean, I'm on it a lot. I have to catch myself because I think I'm starting to hump over, and I'm like, no. I'm too young to start walking around like an 80-year-old.
Yeah, for sure. No, and I hilarious. I was teaching an online class. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, and we see that and think, oh, that's aging, it's inevitable. Well, there are many things that come with aging, but that kind of habit only gets like accentuated the longer we live under gravity. We can reverse that habit. Absolutely.
Most definitely. So this has been fascinating. This has been really, really good. So I know some of our people will want to reach out to you and learn from you, get information from you. How do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, best to reach out. My website, peaceandpower.ca, not .com, because I'm here in Canada, so .ca. And it's got listings of a couple of online classes we teach, some pre-recorded online courses. The way to do I always offer a 30-minute free discovery call, just because it's a little bit different what I do. And so I find that kind of upfront education is helpful. And then people, whatever their issue they're bringing, they'll take away one sort of way that they can work with themselves from that call alone. But, it's always good. And also just sometimes it's not right. I've had people reach out right after an accident, and it's like, it sounds like you're still healing, and it's too soon to do this kind of functional movement work because you're seeing 5 different specialists, and like you need to heal, and I'm not like some kind of magic wand to make you heal faster, right? It's like I want to support people in the right way, not come in soon or when really they need to see a doctor or something like that.
So tell them your website again, and they can go and get a free consultation, right? A 30-minute.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So if you go to www.peaceandpower.ca, you'll find under the book tab, you'll find the way to just set up a free online call. and several other resources as well. I would send people as well to the Peace and Power Movement Services YouTube channel. And I've got all sorts of free little videos, coming from my work with clients, but, little tips, little ways to work with something. I've got a stiff neck, I've got sore wrists and I don't know how to peel an apple, like stuff,
wonderful,
like everyday functional movement like that. Yeah.
Wow, that is cool. I have a friend who is caring. She's not a caretaker. She just lives there in case he falls type thing, but he's 6'5". His hands are cumbersome. He was a major athlete back in the day, but she has to do a lot of things for him. And it's become a full-time job, even though that wasn't what it started out. But it's because of that. And so I need to send her your information, because that could really help him to get those hands working again and stuff. So I will definitely turn her on to that. So if y'all are watching on Facebook, please click like and share. Tell your friends about us, because we want to help the world one by one. And that's why we bring these great guests on our shows. If you're watching on YouTube, please click the thumbs up, because that affects the algorithms on both platforms. Subscribe and ring the bell so that you know when we're coming on with a new show. And also tell your friends. So we want to thank you for coming on today. And thank you, Cheryl. This has been great information. Just so powerful. So Barbara, get your computer fixed. Cheryl, it's been great having you on, and we will see y'all next week. Bye.
Bye, everybody. See you.